Hello everyone. I hope you are able to see me and hear me well. Someone can confirm, please, in the chat window. Hi Vignesh, good evening. Okay, all right. So I am going to share my screen. Give me a second so that. Okay. Hey Lakshna. Hey Bhavna. Okay, 1 second. So let's give maybe another minute for people to join, then we can start. In the meanwhile time, let me also share my screen. Give me a second. Okay. All right. Is everyone able to see my screen? Can someone confirm that? All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. Thank you. All right. So it's a very important topic, and hopefully one of the topic that most of you people requested also for. I'm just making one point very clear. This is a very important topic. I don't want to rush, as you all know me. I want to start from the basics. So today is the first session. At least I'm hoping it may go for 2 to 3 more sessions so that we can cover all the agile metrics. So today we will start learning about metrics, KPI, OKR, uh, and different types of metrics, and all about that. Okay. Anytime if you have a question related to this topic, please drop the question. If you are having any questions which are out of this content and something you want to connect, you have different options. You have my email ID. Also, you can find me in the YouTube channel, and also TalkMate option and mentoring club. So we have different ways to connect with me. So any questions related to this topic, do not hold yourself. Start putting in the chat window. We will address at the end of the session. Okay, without further delay, let's get started. Okay, so today we are going to cover these topics, which are the metrics, KPI, OKR, difference between metrics, KPI, and OKR. It's kind of like confusing for most of us. So we just want to make this very clear at the very first thing. And then a new terminology maybe for some people, and some people you may be already aware: vanity metrics and actionable metrics, and then say-do ratio and average velocity. So if you're looking for Selvi, you will be talking about scope changes, you will be talking about product backlog health, test coverage, defect leakage, and all those things. We will be that's the whole reason I mentioned initially that we will be covering maybe another 3 to 4 sessions, just to ensure that we are going to have the complete overview of all the metrics. All right, so quick introduction about me. Most of you may be knowing me. So I'm Selvi. I uh, use this YouTube channel to connect with you all. And generally, we discuss about the agile related topics, and also going forward the project management related things. So you won't see much of theory from me. It's all about the practical knowledge and all the things what I learned from my experience, and what are the things I learned from my mentors. Those are the things I try to share. And we will be focusing on all the major frameworks, starting from Scrum VRN. We will slowly move to the other frameworks eventually. All right. So, okay, let's talk about what is a metric. So, metric is something that you are able to measure and which is having a quantitative value. So, it's not anything related to qualitative, it is a quantitative measure. So, when I say quantitative measure, obviously you should be very clear about something, that it is all about, it's something that you are able to measure something and you have a value 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the value. But there is some figure that you are able to achieve out of it, but they will tell you what is happening, but they will not help you to understand whether it's good, whether it's bad, what kind of decision I want to take. It will not guide you with anything. That is metric. So in simple terms, if you have a garden and you want to maintain certain temperature in that room, for example, indoor garden, we usually keep a thermometer. So you can measure what is the temperature in that room, but it will not tell you like whether it's good for the plants, not good for the plants. You will not get to know. So it is basically a measurement that is helping you to understand the current situation, but it will not make you to take any decision or any kind of process which will help you to take to the next step. Okay, based on this, I'm going to take this action. It will not help you in that. In simple terminologies, the number of daily active users, probably who all are in product management category, you would have seen this is one of the very important metric that you probably will be using, DAU, daily active users. So any app or any kind of like web application, if you take, you will be able to see this. But what I will get to know from this, nothing, but I will just get to know, okay, there are 35 active users currently using this application at 10 p.m. That is something you will be able to understand, but it will not help you to take any kind of action, or you will not be able to understand whether it's good for my application, not good for my application. You will not get to know. So metrics is something which is a very fundamental thing, which is measure something in quantitative values, and it will not tell you to take any kind of decision, or it will not indicate anything to you. That is metric. Simple examples we have given. Slowly we will move to the next topic, that is KPI. So KPI is next level. Okay, so here also we are going to measure something, but as the definition what I have added here, they are specific metrics. So now itself you are very clear, because you are already aware of what is a metric, because something you are measuring and it has a quantitative value. But here, in addition to that, you are attaching a goal. So earlier there was no goal, it was just a measurement, and it was giving you a number. You cannot take any decision, neither you will not be able to understand what exactly it is telling, no indication. But here you are taking to the next step, where you are attaching this metric to a goal. So goal means obviously you will be able to measure the goal's success or failure, right? So whatever you are trying to keep it as a target or the goal, you are able to also understand whether you are achieving it or not achieving it. So that is a KPI. So let's try to understand with a simple example. So daily steps, probably most of you are using some fitness tracker. You would have set like 10,000 steps. So 10,000 steps is your goal. And if you take it as a metric, general thing, I have walked today 5,000 steps. It will not tell me anything whether I'm successful or not, unsuccessful, what it is. But if I'm attaching a goal to it, that is actually 10,000 steps. But instead of 10,000 steps, I just walk the 5,000 steps, which is not a good thing, which means I'm not in a good shape. Like I need to improve. So this is actually helping me to take a decision. That is the difference between KPI and metric. So now you can understand very well what is the metric and what is a KPI. And the same example, what we have seen, the number of daily active users DAU on an app. Additionally, I'm going to add, but I have missed to add here in this example, 5% is the target. Every day, there should be an increment of 5% from the previous day. So I'm setting a goal now. So now I can understand, okay, yesterday it was like total of like only 5 users. So today it should be 10 users. So whether there is an increment or decrement, and what is the increment I'm looking for, that goal is always attached to it. So this is actually helping me to take a decision, because okay, I'm improving, all good. I'm not improving, so I need to take some action item. So this way, this goal is helping me to measure my success or failure, and according to the success or failure rate, I am also able to take the action accordingly. So here I have added one point: KPIs or metrics with goals. Just always remember the statement. If you know metrics, KPIs are metrics with goals. Simple term. But metrics are not KPIs, because metrics, they don't have goals. So this is actually the thing you always need to remember. So always there is a confusion. I'm measuring a metric. Then according to me, you are just measuring something, you are monitoring something, but you are not going to take any action out of it. When you say, I'm actually capturing a KPI, Selvi, I'm capturing a KPI, then I'll be looking for some kind of decision that you are going to tell me, saying that, oh, I'm successful, I'm unsuccessful. Because of the situation, we are going to take a step like this. So you are in a situation to take some decision based on the goal that you are attaching with your metric. That is the KPI. All right. Okay, let me quickly check if anyone has any questions so far. No, all good. All right. So next is OKR. Okay, so this actually OKR, we will also have a separate live stream, because this is again a topic to talk for 1 hour. But I just want to bring this also here, because when talking about KPI, I feel we should also talk about the organization level, the strategy level, what are we trying to do, which is OKR. OKR is a structured way, a structured framework that we can say, which is already defined. We need to follow that. There are already certain rules and how to measure it and how to set an objective. That's why I'm planning to have 1 hour session on that so that you all are clear about OKR. But just to understand in a very quick summary, OKR is basically a framework that we follow to track the goals at mostly organization level. Team level, we don't set OKRs. At least I have not used in that fashion, where we derive the OKRs that are set at the organization level. Okay, so that means what? Okay, there are two pieces here, O and KR. O stands for objectives and KR stands for key results. So objective is always a qualitative thing that you are setting. Okay, what I want to achieve, that's your quality. What really is your goal? What are you trying to do? That is your objective. That is actually qualitative. You cannot measure that. But without measuring, as we talked, right, without setting a goal, without measuring that, how are we going to define whether it's successful or unsuccessful? That's where key results come into picture. Key results is actually quantitative. So to achieve this qualitative thing that you set as objective, you are defining key results that you should be achieving, so that these key results will tell you whether you are really achieving your objective or not. An organization, let's take, okay, so they will be having a vision, they are having a different strategy, they want to improve on certain area, they are setting a goal. That is a going to follow OKR approach. So they are setting that as an objective. To achieve that, which is a qualitative thing, you need to have some kind of measurable actions, which is nothing but your key results, which is again a quantitative thing. Okay, so now this will help you understand whether how much you are able to achieve, whether you are able to achieve or not, and whether you are successful or unsuccessful or not. All those things with the help of key results you are able to measure, because it's a quantitative value. Let's talk about some examples so that it will be very clear for you people. Running a marathon, okay, that's an objective. It's a qualitative thing. I want to run a marathon, which is something you can measure. No, you cannot measure. That's a wish, right? Or that's a goal for me, or that's something like a, yeah, we are inching towards the new year, so that's something, a goal I'm setting for the new year in the first quarter of the year. Now, key results, how am I going to measure that? First, run 5 kilometers every day for 3 months. That's something I'm prepping up, and that is also something which is going to help me to achieve my objective. Second key result, complete the marathon in under 5 hours. So when I'm just jumping into the marathon, it's my goal to also complete in 5 hours. So all these things are measurable, all quantitative values. So these things will help me to actually achieve the one that I'm going to do, that is running a marathon. So same way, let's take one more example. Improving your application performance. Just a statement which is very qualitative. Performance, we can measure in different ways, but what are we trying to do here? It's not clearly understandable in this statement. Application performance should be maintained. The first thing what we are going to do in a quantitative way, which is a key result one, is reducing the crash rates by 30%, which is completely, uh, I won't say achievable or unachievable, that depends on the application, but completely measurable. So this is my first key result, that what I'm targeting for. And the second thing, decrease the app load time to under 2 seconds. So the loading time should not be more than 2 seconds. It should be always less than 2 seconds. All these things are really measurable, and these measurable key results help me to overall achieve my objective, which is a goal that I'm setting at the high level. So this is OKR. So now you can think about this KR, which is the key result, is closely related to KPIs, because that statement itself is having an action, and that action is also measurable, and that measurable value is also like setting a goal basically. That's what we have seen in KPIs, right? That's the reason I added this OKR, so now you can understand that. But OKR generally, as I mentioned earlier, you will not be using a team level. Mostly it will come from the organization level. So organization says that uh, we want to move the pilot customers to our commercial customers this year. Okay, in 2025 we want to move 30% of our pilot customers to our commercial customers. So now there will be key results, which means you should be actually like identify what is your total number of users who are pilot customers, and how you can change them into licensing mode, like what are the premium license you are giving, standard license you are giving, and how they will be converted into commercial users so far in your going forward in your application. All those things are your key results. So this objective and key results will be set at the organization level. So when you are taking to the team, what is applicable? Some projects you may be doing R&D, so you will be able to achieve this because you won't be having any kind of commercial customers. You will be still doing the research and development, and you have not moved to NPD phase, which is new product development phase, and you have not gone into the marketing place where you are able to grab some customers. So this is not going to be added up in your goal list. So this is the reason, what are the things at organization level they are planning, some of the things, not some of the things, which are applicable things the projects will take, and they will be defining accordingly their strategy at the project level. So that's the reason OKR is always at the higher level. But it doesn't mean that you need to only set at the high level, but it is a framework and it takes a lot of time. It needs a lot of input, and you should have a defined way of setting that. So for all these things, every team level, it may be like too much of work, but also you can do. It's not something like you should always sit at the high level. You can also do at the project level. So now we talked about metric, we talked about KPIs, we talked about OKR. Okay. Now we talked about all these three, but you may be, if you are still having some confusion, let's clarify that in this slide. So metrics are basic measurement of data. It will not tell you anything. Okay. Targets, KPIs are targets for tracking performance. So whenever you say that you are able to track, that means you should have a goal. If I don't know where I'm heading towards, if I don't know the destination, how can I say whether I'm closer to the destination or far from the destination, or I may need 1 hour to reach the destination? I cannot say I cannot really track where I'm even walking. So KPIs actually targets for tracking performance. OKR is a goal setting framework at a very high level usually. In metrics, monitor the activity. So you will be monitoring, but you will not be getting to know any kind of actions or any kind of decision. It's completely impossible. Whereas KPIs, again, they will be tracking the progress on specific goals, because always KPIs or specific metrics where you have a goal associated with it or attached to it. So always you have some specific goals, against that you are tracking your progress. The next one, the OKR, that is actually achieving the ambitious objectives at the higher level. Now, metrics calculation is ongoing. You can calculate, because it's the room temperature, you can always calculate, right? And KPIs, you can fix the period, you can calculate for a period of quarter, like in this quarter how my team is performing against, this is my 30% I have set as a goal to reach. For example, let's take fitness tracker itself, right? So yeah, walk 10,000 steps daily, that is the daily setting I have done for myself. So 10,000 steps I'm going to measure. So fix the period, you will be able to measure for KPIs. Whereas OKR also defined a period with clear outcomes, like yearly outcomes. Generally, we will not do for quarter. Some companies, they may also do for quarter, but usually it will be like a very long period commitment, and the objective that is for a good period, not a very short period, because always we are looking for some ambitious goal, right? So we also need some time to achieve that. So it is actually a defined period. And simple example, so that you can always remember this: steps walked in a day, that is a metric, which will not tell you whether you are good with your fitness, are you maintaining a good health, no idea. Just giving the value that you have walked 5,000 steps. I cannot even understand whether it's good or bad. Now let's talk with the goal. KPI, walk 10,000 steps daily. So daily I am attaching a goal to my step count, that is 10,000. So now if it is 5,000, that means I need an improvement, I'm not doing good. If it is more than 10,000, awesome, like I'm kind of like doing so good. And OKR, build a fitness habit, right? That is the overall objective. And walk 10,000 steps for 30 days straight. So it is for a longer period now. So I'm just trying to give with a simple example so that it's easy for you people to correlate anytime. It's for a good number of period. Okay, so you are going to achieve. So one of the key result, and again, one more point I missed to mention in OKR, one objective can have multiple OKRs. Okay, not single KR will always help you in achieving the objective, because objective is always an ambitious goal, right? So to understand whether the goal is really met or not, we can have multiple KRs, okay, not as a single KR. So depends on how many key results that you want, you can keep on adding that for a single objective. And now let's come to the example that what we commonly see in software. Number of active users per day, that is the DAU, daily active users. So that is not going to tell me whether it's good or bad. So the next thing is increase daily active users by 15% in the next month. So we have a fixed period, that is a month, and 15% increment. So every day there should be an increment. So it clearly tells me with this goal whether I am really improving or not improving, successful, unsuccessful, I can measure. OKR, become the leading app in the productivity category and increase DAU by 25% in the next quarter. So this is one of the key results. So you can have many key results. For example, one more key result is, see, the app in the productivity category. Maybe you want to actually add increase daily habit trips by daily habit tips by 20 percentage based on the premium customer category, something like that. So that is also a key result. So for single objective, you can have multiple key results. Hopefully, now this is clear. Metrics, KPI, and OKR. If any questions, please post the questions. Let me see if, okay, my voice is breaking. Is that for everyone? Is it better now? Are you people able to hear me? Okay, looks like there is an issue. Now it's okay. Okay, thank you, Vignesh. All right. So let's okay, so I just want to ensure that you people are following. Please put any kind of questions that you have related to KPIs, metrics. Okay, what do you mean by ambitious objective? Are we entitled to reach the target? Yes, we are entitled to reach the target. Okay, why I use the word specially ambitious goal, right? So KPIs are having goals at team level. When it comes to OKRs, as I mentioned, generally it is at the organization level. So organization level means there will be always these OKRs are set with the help of different work streams. So you will learn from sales team, you will learn from marketing team, how as an organization we are performing, and we will also be including everyone in the group. So it should be something, as an employee you should also be ambitious to take that goal and give it. It is not like KPA means it doesn't have any ambition or something, but here it is also the overall look from the organization. That's the reason it always has that ambition or kind of passionate goal that we are setting, so that as an organization we will be able to achieve it. But it is again, as a whole company, we are entitled to reach the target, and whether we are reaching the target or not, we will measure with the help of key results. That's how we generally follow it. So you can definitely correlate your key results with KPIs, because every key result, as you can read, they are nothing but the KPIs. They have a single goal attached to a metric, and you are able to measure it. So this is actually the reason. So how a metric will convert into KPI, and how KPI will not convert into OKR. KPI is going to be part of your OKRs, right? So you have an objective and you have a key result. Key results are nothing but your KPIs. You will be achieving, so that multiple KRs, when you are achieving, you are able to achieve the overall ambitious objective that as an organization or that as a whole project that we have committed, and that is the objective. All right. So I think I'm not seeing any more further questions. Anyway, we'll take at the end as well. Let us proceed. All right. So now this is clear. So now you people are very clear about metrics, KPA, and OKR. We are not going to talk about everything today. Next thing, we are going to start from metrics. Okay. So there are two types of metrics. Uh, I don't think so. This will be an interview question, but for sure, I want you people to understand this concept very clearly, so that you measure the things what you're supposed to be, just not for the presentation alone. Okay. Sometimes we measure or we capture some data. It will be very good in the slide deck. Any action from the data? No. Is it beneficial then? Definitely not. Any data that should be giving some decision, that should help you to track something, assess something, and monitor something, and you should be able to take some decision out of it. That's why we always say the decision making should be data driven. That's the reason we are capturing this much of data. When your data is unable to take any decision, or it is not, or you are not using the data in a way that it is able to give some decision, probably somewhere we are missing something. That's what this slide is going to tell. Okay, so two types of metrics: vanity metrics and actionable metrics. With the name, maybe you may not be aware of vanity metrics uh, much, but with actionable metrics, now you will be able to understand what vanity metrics may be. So let's get into vanity metrics. Vanity metrics will not help you in decision making, either minimal or zero decision making with the help of vanity metrics. As I mentioned, you are capturing something, putting in a slide deck, putting in some presentation or in any form, like any kind of meeting or anywhere, but it is not helping you to take any kind of decision making. That is vanity metric. So it will not help you to take any kind of action. You don't know whether you are really uh, uh, whether you need to take some action items to make things better, or you are going in a straight path. You don't know. Basically the path itself is unclear because you are not unable to make any kind of decisions, right? It's as a very high level data, it won't get deeper. So you will not be able to understand what is the criticality, whether doing good, not doing good, you will not be able to understand. Basically metrics, we learned it's a measurement in quantitative way, and it will not give you any kind of decision. That's true. But here you will not even make any kind of decision itself. Okay, like you are not enabling that data to make any kind of decision. That means it is vanity metric. For example, let's see, so that you will be able to clearly understand. Total page views. Okay, in a let's say I'm having a blog. Okay, so when I'm actually seeing my blog, I'll be able to also understand how many people have viewed yesterday, today, like that. Will that give me any kind of information, like how many people are really interacting with me, are going to interact with me, or are they getting benefited? I don't know really, because they are just seeing, but I don't know whether because there is no basic kind of communication happening. Whereas, for example, let's take the YouTube video itself, right? I'll be getting to know these many views happened, but I don't know whether people really liked it, whether they have any questions. I don't know until and unless they have added some comments, or they are otherwise I'll take like, okay, everything is going good. So I cannot really take any kind of decision with that data. That's the situation I'm in, and it will also not enable me until and unless there is some kind of interaction happening. But today that is not happening, which is making me, I don't know whether it's good or bad, because sometimes I feel like, okay, these many views but no question, no comments, no likes, nothing, means I feel like, okay, everything is good, people understood. And maybe this is one of the video where no questions. Maybe the other way as well, right? People may not be able to connect with that content as well, but they have not expressed it. So I cannot make any decision out of that view count. Same way here, there is a page where you can say like some kind of e-commerce website or something, but people are just viewing, but no one is actually purchasing anything. No one is actually getting into a customer, or getting into the sign up page and enrolling themselves. No, it's not happening at all. So you cannot make basically any decision with this data. That's what it is. And this data will not even help you to take any decision. Anyone will be liking this data? Of course not, because you can put it on any presentation or anything, but this will not give you any kind of data driven decision making. That means it's meaningless to capture this data. Okay, now the next thing is actionable metrics. This is interesting. Even though right now it is not giving you any decision making, but that will enable you to take some decision. Okay, so actionable metrics are numbers that provide insights and help guide decisions to improve outcomes. Even though you're not setting any goal or something, but still this metrics will help you to take some kind of decision. Lead to clear actions, focus on meaningful impact, which was not the case with vanity, because you don't know what is the path, you don't know whether you are in good state, bad state, what exactly it is trying to say. Like as I mentioned in the page views or any view count, it will not help you to understand whatever the decision you want to make. But now there is something called as conversion rate. So what is conversion rate means, like in a e-commerce website, if you take how many people are actually viewing the page, and out of that how many people are actually converting that view into some actions. So they are not only just looking the page and mostly like a window shopping, right? Just log in to, not even log in, just load that page, load that website, look into that website, and make no actions. That means that's the same vanity metric, right, which will not help me to take any decision. Now it is all about conversion. How many people are signing up, how many people are clicking on some item and checking out on that particular thing, adding to the cart. So all those actions we are capturing, which is the conversion rate. Now this will help us to understand whether people are actually making some purchase. Out of that conversion rate, how many people are making purchases, how many people are not making purchases, then what is actually the problem here. Now we are able to decide, even though we cannot decide everything, but still we are able to get into some shape where we can take an action from here. Okay, this is the conversion rate, but still people are taking action, signing up, but they are not purchasing. After signing up, they are adding to the cart, but they are not checking out. So all these things you will be able to identify. So it is actually enabling you to the next step to take some action. So you have vanity, you have actionable metrics. You always look for how to convert this vanity metrics to actionable metrics, because if only you have vanity metrics in the presentation, in the slide deck, in any kind of document, it may look so promising, but it is not actually telling the story. Whereas actionable metrics, even though there is no goal, because metrics, they don't have any goal, right? But still they are helping you to take to the next step, to understand whether i'm I can take some action or not. Whether you can actually set next time your goal as conversion rate should be like 30 percentage. Like whoever making some action in your web page or in your e-commerce website, they should be, our target is somehow to provide some offers when they are signing up, add some kind of offers, first time user you should purchase. So it is kind of like tempting for me now. Okay, anyway, I have taken an action, I also signed up, now I'm able to see, oh, there is an offer for the new customer. So this is something like we can take an action as the next step, that is actually allowed with the help of actionable metrics. So now, how to convert this, right? For each metric, ask these questions. What is the value we are conveying? First of all, why are we even calculating? That's what I mentioned. If you feel that you are calculating something and it is not helping you to take any action, please do not calculate. It's waste of time, right? Just we are adding something. It looks very promising, it's very exciting to see that number in the presentation, but it's not giving you the actual results, it's not allowing you to take to the any action to move into the next step. That means it's not really an effective method. So please ask the question, what is my purpose in measuring something, and what action can I take? Not only measuring, it should allow me to move to the next step, right? So what action I can take, these questions you should ask. This will definitely convert your vanity metric to actionable metrics. So in summary, you have two types of metrics, vanity and actionable. Vanity means just for the sake of calculating, you are calculating, but it doesn't give any kind of action, or it won't help you to move further. Actionable metrics, yes, they allow you to take some action, they allow you to set that as a KPI in future and plan something as a next step. So you are making some kind of decision, you are taking to the next step, which is a data driven methodology, which is a good thing. So always focus on actionable metrics, not focus on vanity metrics. So you are a person who is more now you people can only think, right? Okay, when I'm sending some metrics, what are the things actually it is helping me to take some action, what are the things which is not helping me to take some actions. Now you can actually correlate very well. So please try to convert your uh, vanity metrics to actionable metrics. That's a very important piece. Okay, so okay, we came to the next agenda, that is the say-do ratio and uh, the topic of average velocity. Any questions so far from anyone? I'll just pause for 10 seconds maybe. If any questions from anyone? Okay. I take that as no questions. Hopefully, if you are somewhere feeling that you have some kind of questions, please drop at any time before the session. uh, yes, that is our goal. So actionable metrics, when you are capturing, now you are able to take a decision whether you are in good shape, or uh, like moving into the place where okay, let's take an example. Yeah, people are also having questions on any example for vanity metrics. Okay, in agile, okay, in a sprint, you are calculating uh, how many story points achieved in a sprint. Story points achieved in a sprint. Just you are telling, I am a new person, okay, I have joined in your organization. Let's imagine that scenario, and you are just telling me, uh, Selvi, my team has achieved 30 story points. I cannot even judge your team whether they are good. I don't know, because their team says nothing, right? I have no idea basically uh, what decision I need to take out of this. This is actually the perfect example of vanity metric. When you say, my team has achieved 30 story points, a person who has no clue about your team and whether 30 is a good number, not a good number, they cannot take any action, or they cannot move into any decision with this number. That is the perfect example of vanity metric. Converting this vanity metric into actionable metric, you will calculate. Yeah, that's what today say do ratio and average velocity we are going to see. Say do ratio and average velocity you are calculating. Now you know you are setting a goal. Okay, so for example, say do ratio is what, uh, you have some topics that you have committed in your sprint. Let's take that committed story points is 50 story points, and you have achieved 30 story points. Okay, now when you say, okay, for simplicity I'm putting 25 story points you have achieved. Okay, so 25 divided by 50, which is 50 percentage basically. So half of the things what you have committed you have completed. Now when you say 25 percentage is my say do ratio, sorry, 50 percentage is my say do ratio, if you're telling to me, even though I'm a new person, I know that, oh my god, this team is not even doing well, they are just completing half of what they have committed, it's not a good sign. I can take some decision. This is actionable metric. Okay, if you are just telling me 30 story points or 25 story points, that will not help me in anything. When you say do ratio of my team is 50 percentage, that means I can understand very well your team needs definitely some action. That decision I'm able to make. Now my KPI is what I can do. My KPI is going to be say do ratio we are going to achieve in next 3 sprints to at least 80 percentage. That's your KPI. You are giving 3 sprints as your time, and 3 sprints you are going to make this happen. To make this happen, you are going to keep on measuring your say do ratio for all the 3 sprints, and you are going to make the average. Okay, 3 sprints, first sprint 70 percentage, next sprint 90 percentage, third sprint 80 percentage, so it's basically going to be 80 percentage. So you are reaching the goal. So now in say do ratio, just calculating say do ratio is actionable metric. Only calculating what is the number of story points your team has achieved is vanity metric. Now when you are attaching your goal, that say do ratio should be so and so percentage, which is not ideally the situation, you will not set it, but I'm just correlating the story again so that you can definitely understand it well. So setting the say do ratio to have some goal attached to it, because say do ratio is a metric which is an actionable metric. Now attaching a goal to it will make that as a KPI. So anytime if you want the actionable metric to reach somewhere a target, then it should be converted into a KPI for sure. Is it clear now? Before I get into say do ratio and commitment reliability. All right. Bhavna, you got your answer, or still you have some questions on that? All right, awesome. So we covered this. So now let's get into say do ratio. Okay. So two topics, simple topics. You may be aware of these topics, but I'm just going to share the practical things what I learned with these two metrics, especially. I'm going to share with them. Okay. So how many people are calculating? You can use the chat window to answer if you wish. How many people are calculating say do ratio with the help of number of work items, and how many people here are using story points? Okay, let me put the question in a very clear way. uh, In my sprint backlog, I have total of 10 work items. Out of that, some are user stories, some are spikes, some are defects. It's a combination basically, right? Always it's a good sprint backlog is always a combination. So I have a combination. So I have 10 topics. I am calculating in a way like 10 is my commitment, which is in the denominator. My team has achieved 8, which is 80% say do ratio. This is one way of calculation. How many people are using that? Okay, I have used both. Second type is I have committed story points, which is 70 story points, and I have achieved 35 story points, which is like 50%, which is the help of story points. How many people have used this? All are going with story points, all are going with work items. And when you will use what? Probably when you will use what, I'm parking the question. But if you wish, you can put okay, we are using story points. Okay, so Bhavna has used both. uh, Vignesh is using story points. Anyone else wants to mention what you are using with the help of work items or with the help of story points? Story point. Okay, all right, I'll take this these answers. Like, okay, now let's try to understand first of all what is say-do ratio. Then we will go to this question why we will go with story points and why we will go with the number of work items. Okay, say-do ratio, which is a measure which helps you to understand how much your team is delivering on whatever the commitment they have made as part of the sprint. This is getting calculated at the end of every sprint. It's basically what you say, whether you are doing that or not. That is what you are trying to measure here. So I'm just putting, if you can see, I have not used the word story points. I have not used the word work items. I'm just putting work committed and work completed. What is the work that you have committed in a sprint and what you have achieved in a sprint, which is completed in a sprint. That is what we are trying to measure it here. Now, why are we measuring? So, as I mentioned, anything that we are doing, there should be a meaning to that, right? Otherwise, it will become a vanity metric. But our whole idea is convert the vanity to actionable metric. Do not anytime convert actionable metric to vanity metric, right? Which is also slightly impossible, but please, anytime don't think about that because always we want data driven decisions. As a scrum master, that's the main goal for us. We should not go with some kind of gut feeling or anything. We should always have some kind of approach. Okay, this is my data, this is my logic, that's what I'm going with it. All right, so now why this metric? I'll also come to that question for sure. Why this metric first of all? So whatever they are saying, whether they are doing it or not, correct? So 100%, if say do ratio, usually it is represented in percentage. Sometimes people also put in the uh, kind of like with the decimal values, but it is usually a good practice to give it in percentage, which will give a very different uh, feeling to understand. Oh, I have completed 70% of my work, I have not completed uh, whatever the percentage we have completed. It's the best to represent in the percentage mechanism. 100% say do ratio means the team has completed exactly what they have committed to in the sprint. If it is less than, that means they didn't finish everything. They still have something left out, which means there is a spillover. More than 100% means they kind of like went beyond the commitment and they have achieved more work. This is what it clearly going to say. So it is completely an actionable metric, as you can see. And again, uh, from now onwards, I will not talk about anything which is a vanity metric. I just put that slide and explain that because anytime as Scrum Masters, we should be only focusing on actionable metrics and not vanity metrics. For that, first of all, we need to know what is a vanity metric. That's the reason I have added that and explained that. But going forward in further sessions that we are planning related to Agile Metrics, you will not see anything related to vanity metrics. Anything that is going to help us in making some decision, that alone we will be discussing. So this gives us a clear picture how the team is performing. So less than means, oh, they are making spillover. So what is the reason for spillover? If they are every time, every sprint, okay, like 3 4 sprints, you are able to see always your team is achieve more than 100%. Is that also telling something? Yes, of course, it is also telling something. I'll talk about that as well. So it is helping us to take some decision from these values. Definitely, it will be either 100% or less than 100% or more than 100%. 100 means yes, what I said, I have done that. Less than, we have spillovers. More than, we have achieved extra. This is what it is telling. All right. So now What are the benefits of doing this? Before getting into benefits, let me answer that question. So we can also do in two ways this say-do ratio calculation. One is going with all the number of story points that you have committed in a particular sprint, that should be in your denominator, and what you have achieved, that story points, you can keep it in numerator. When you can do this, let's consider a situation. I talked about this at the beginning. Always your sprint backlog is a combination of everything. When I say everything, you will be having technical debts, you will be having spikes, you will be having bugs, you will be having stories. All these things are going to be part of your sprint backlog. Will you anytime estimate your spike? Generally not. You will not. So spike is also there in your sprint backlog. And team has achieved that spike also, right? And there is a bug that also you are not going to estimate. That also your team has fixed, right? So how are you going to take credit? How can you say just that there are one story that your team has spilled it? They were unable to complete it. But other items all are completed. But there are some topics which we don't have story points only, like bugs and spike. So if they don't have, how that denominator value is actually the combination of everything. It is only the calculation of your story points, where stories and technical debts where you have estimated. Wherever you have not estimated, you don't have that picture at all in your say do ratio, right? So if you are not estimating your spike and bug, why I'm saying this, because in some places, generally for a spike they will put 8 story points, 5 story points, even though we cannot estimate anytime a spike, because spike is a topic which has uncertainties, and uncertainty means you cannot estimate. To make the situation into a certain situation only, we are doing spike, so that we will clarify all those questions, we will clear those uncertainties and get into a stage where we can do something with the spike. But now the confusion itself is like, I am actually estimating general estimation. Okay, if there is a topic called a spike, that means it is 5 story points. That is what team is following. And if there is a bug, always 1 story point for a bug, which is also a practice. In some places we are following. I'm not saying good or bad, but we are following. In those places, this calculation of story points works very well, because you are obviously calculating everything, right? Because each and every item in your sprint backlog is having for sure an estimate value, which is a story point, and you are definitely calculating that. So now no confusion. Let's take in my scenario, I'm not going to estimate my spike, I'm not going to estimate my bug. So now that is also something my team has said and they have done that. But where I'm going to convey that information? So that's the reason I'm going to count the number of items rather than calculating or summing up all my story points. So now 10 work items, one spike, two bugs, one technical debt, four, right? And remaining six are my user stories. 10 work items. Out of that, eight team has completed. All the 10 they only have committed as a team, and they only have achieved eight. Out of that, that means 80% is my say-do ratio. I'm not getting into the calculation of story points itself, because my sprint backlog always has this kind of combination. So this way, you are really conveying the information what your team has said, whether they have done it or not. If you are going with story points and you are not going to estimate spike and bug, which is something very, very common scenario, then that will not count inside your calculation, because they don't have story points, right? They will not be counted. That's the reason I have taken this approach. So when you need to use this, when you need to use the other one, you should be very clear. In some projects, which is a very matured project, okay, which is like in the market for many years, and team is also very stable, and they don't have any kind of questions. Uncertainties are very rare, so spike is something that will not even come into their radar. And talking about bugs, they only get bugs within the sprint cycle bugs, because all the production defects are handled by a different team, which is a maintenance team, which is a support and maintenance team. This is a development team. So it's a very different team. I'm telling a scenario where this also can exist. Okay. So this development team, they will not work on any kind of production defects where they need to fix something. Whatever they are doing, they all are doing the new enhancements, new feature development, all those things. And what they can expect as part of bugs are the scrum level, the scrum team level. That is, this every sprint, if something they are missing out as part of the acceptance criteria, that will be created as a bug by the QA. Okay, that is the only bug they have. And that also it's very clear what exactly the acceptance they have missed, because sometimes if they are calling out that, that story will become itself it's a spillover. Okay, high chances that story will be getting spilled over. So we will not create a bug as such, especially in this scenario, because the team itself is doing only the feature development and we don't get any bugs from outside. The other team, support and maintenance, are going to handle the bugs, sorry, the defects that are coming from the production. So now in this team, no spike, no bug or defect where you need to estimate it, everything is clear, then you can very well go with, because all the work items whatever you are going to pick as part of your sprint backlog, all those items are definitely going to be estimatable state. No, nothing that will be out of their radar. Let's take an R&D team. 50% of your backlog is always with the spike, because they are trying to innovate something, they have a lot of ideas, they want to somewhere clarify those uncertainties, they have very minimum development work, or kind of like 50-50. Okay, 50 spike and 50 uh, percentage of development work. In this, if you are just calculating only this as your say-do ratio, the development work where you have estimated, and spike you are not even estimating, how can you actually just say, because 50% of your backlog is filled with spikes only because your team's nature is like that, then how can you actually just consider only the user stories which have story points and skip comfortably these spikes? That will not give you the clear picture, right? Because spike also can be spilled over. Big spike, when I say can be spilled over, you completed the spike, it is a negative outcome, but you identified a reason also. It can either carry forward, depends on team's decision. Mostly we will close it and create a new spike, but still you need to claim the credit for your team, right? Whatever they said, 10 items, 5 are spike, 5 are stories. 5 spike they have completed, 5 stories they have not completed. Now it is just 50 percentage. But if you only take 5 stories they have not completed, comfortably leaving the spike items, then 0 percentage. Out of 5 stories they have committed, all the 5 they have not done. This is giving a very wrong message. They also have spent good amount of time in spike, which are also the potential items for the upcoming sprint as new stories. And it is also required because the team's nature is like that, because the team is working on research project. So this is the reason for which project we are using, and what are the items that we are picking it up, number one, and what are the things that you are using as part of estimation. Because you should not put story points for spike, you should not put story points for bug. This is a common scenario, but some places we also do that. In those cases, story points will definitely do justice. So pick the right option according to the nature of your project and the framework that you use as part of estimation. I think hopefully that is clear. So now let's get into the benefits of say-do ratio. So say-do ratio also always helps us to forecast the upcoming sprint performance. So because we know like 80% is usually the time that the performance that my team does. So it is a very good thing to understand the achievement or performance of the team. This is a very good metric. Okay, average velocity is the metric to understand the performance of the team? No. Say do ratio helps to understand whether your team is performing well or not, because it says what they are committing, whether they are able to achieve it or not. Plan buffer time logically. This is very, very important. So, why this metric is very important according to me is like when you are preparing overall release plan. Okay, so there were questions also release plan, we will address those questions which came in different posts and different other videos. We'll address that. It's a very bigger topic all alone again. So when we say release plan, any plan when you make, you will add something called as buffer, right? I have seen people adding buffer as one sprint is my buffer, 2 sprints is my buffer. How are you even telling 1 sprint, 2 sprints? What is the logic? No logic. Just I add 1 sprint. That's a comfortable thing to add. That's what we generally add it as a buffer, which is not a good thing. You should have some kind of logical calculation why you are adding 1 sprint. Now let's take a feature. Okay, I'm getting a question from my management. Selvi, can you please work with your team to understand how much time they will take for this feature, okay, or epic, you can say, which is a bigger thing. So my team is going to give me high level estimate. So they are saying Selvi, like we will be taking somewhere double XL. So according to my wall of reference in my group, double XL means 5 sprints. Okay, we'll talk about all these things in upcoming live streams. Do not confuse. Just think my team is saying they will take 5 sprints. Now I should immediately think what is the say do ratio generally my team has as an average. No, don't pick from the recent one. Always pick as a pattern. It's very, very important as a scrum master. You should be able to learn from the pattern. Do not go with single instance. That's why it's average velocity, not velocity. Same way, say do ratio is important for the sprint. Of course, it tells what is the metric related to the sprint. But when you are going to have the buffer calculation, please pick up at least from last 5, last 10, whatever you feel comfortable with. Take that average. Generally the averages team will be like 80 percentage they will be working on what they have committed. That means always there is a gap of 20 percentage, which is your thing that you need to make a note now. So they have told 5 sprints. Imagine first sprint 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, which means if they have told 5 sprints, it's always comfortable to add one more sprint, because always they say 100 percentage commitment, but they will achieve only 80 percentage, which means every time 20 percentage, 20 percentage is going to be a spillover. So it's, for me, it's going to be comfortable if I add one more sprint as buffer. So you are calculating with a logic. So when you are going to make a timeline, whenever you are going to make a release plan, buffer is very important. Please add buffer with some logic, and do not go with some kind of, oh, usually this is what we will add. Every team has a different nature, and every team operates on a different backlog. So it's not a good idea to go with, okay, the other team is using one sprint as the buffer, let me also add that. No, we are going in a very different journey. So we should be having some logic behind that. Drive discussions for root cause analysis and team improvement. Yeah, this is very important. So we had seen three cases, right? One is reaching 100%, second one is like less than 100%, and third one is like more than 100%. Observe the pattern. Always last 5 sprints your team is always like more than 100 percentage. What is that conveying? Get into the root cause. Every time your team may be committing very less, or they are overestimating everything, and they say, no, no, this is what we can commit, but ideally they can commit more. Next time you can guide your team in your retrospective session with the help of this metric. Team, I feel like always we are able to overachieve than what we have committed. Why can't we take a trial of taking some more than the usual and see how we are performing? This is actually the motivation that with the help of this metric you will be able to give with the data to your team. Not something that you are telling on your own. You are telling with data, talking with data, right? So this is going to help you to take some definite information and take some necessary steps what you can do better. Okay. Now, okay, I think next one is average velocity. Sorry, we already reached the time. I hope everyone is okay. Let me have a quick time check. Uh, is everyone okay to go with average velocity? It may take another 10 or 15 minutes for sure. I think so. And maybe we need to also have some question and answer session if you have any questions coming in. Okay. I see everyone is comfortable to move forward. Okay. So let's talk about average velocity, right? So average velocity is the total amount of work which usually we measure in story points a team completes in the sprint. So as I mentioned, it's not a good practice to calculate just the velocity. Always calculate the average velocity, the average of the team's velocity across multiple sprints. You can take the recent 5 sprints, recent 10 sprints. More and more you take, the value is going to be crisper. But the only catch is you should have a consistent team. If your team is keep on moving or your sprint length is keep on changing, then it may not be really fruitful. But for sure, this average velocity is going to help you. Please pick up the recent 5 or recent 10. If you are a new team, at least start with recent 3, then increase this. So it will be better in that case. All right. So that's the definition. Formula is very simple. Sum of achieved story points divided by the number of sprints. So last three sprints, 30, 30, 30. So that means 90 divided by 3, which is the number of sprints, which is equal to 30. Simple math. So I have not taken any complicated numbers. So it is 30, right? So you know this is the average velocity. So basically, last 3 or 5 or 10, whatever the sprints you want, you can take it. Yeah, I have given the example, so this is helpful. I have changed at least the numbers 30, 20, 20, 30. Again, some simple math. So 100 story points and 4 sprints, which is equal to 25, which is the average velocity. So this is a simple calculation. Why are we calculating this? Can I say if my average velocity of my team is very good when compared to Vignesh team, my team is doing very well, so my team is performing well? Completely wrong. Do not anytime, first of all, I will also talk about that point. Compare your team's velocity with other team. That's a wrong thing. This will help you to only predict the future. What is the pace I am moving? This will help you to predict in future. If you are planning something, you can make this or you can use this as a guiding factor to plan. All right. So this is for predictability. As a scrum master, you should be a very good forecaster. You should be able to foresee the things. You should be able to predict the things. Then only we will be able to comfortably call out what are the challenges and risk that we are able to foresee. So for prediction, average velocity is going to play a major role. Transparency, of course, this will give the realistic timeline, like what is the pace my team is moving, even though commitment, everything is there, but what exactly they are achieving that as a completion, so that we are able to understand from this value. Again, you should be able to calculate the trend, means always in a graph have the trend view of average velocity. So always it is going like this. Every sprint they are improving. That means there is a high chance team is kind of like their estimation. Estimation is something like they are always doing in a way like overestimation. Why I'm saying this confidently? Let's take very first time your team is actually estimating. Okay. And again, I want to add this point before I get into the topic. Please ensure at least yearly twice you are having your estimation framework for 30 minutes just to revise, because when your team is new, when the product is also new, team may be having lot of challenges. But when things are moving, they are very comfortable with the technology, they are very comfortable with the product, they know the functionalities, and they are very, it's kind of like very kind of like cakewalk for them, right? Because it's not going to be anything in a trouble, because they are very comfortable. That time the estimation factors will change. What they have seen as a bigger risk when they joined the team or when the project started is no more going to be a major risk. What they have seen that as a dependency, now that is not even a dependency, because they know how to manage that without even considering that as a dependency. And that time amount of work they need to invest was too much, because the product was new and the feature was new, everything is new, like even the technology, maybe for some people it's new. But now that is not the situation. Complexity that time what we have kind of like considered, that's not the same today. So the factors are going to give a different perception. So always it's a good practice, not every sprint, that's too much. At least every quarter you can do, or every 6 months once you can do, like, or at least a year. Please sit with your team and do the estimation workshop and understand how it is changing. That numbers are not going to be the same, right? So please try to understand what is again the one story point story. That's what the reference story all about, right? Still the same, or it's going to change in a different way. That please try to understand from your team, and you should facilitate that as a scrum master. So now I'm coming back to the topic. So when you are actually estimating, now your estimation standards also had gone in a different way, right? So what you have estimated earlier 8 story points, now according to you that is a 5 story point, because the risk has changed, dependency is no more a dependency, because you are very comfortable as a team in that particular topic now. So now still if you are putting a story points and you are using this as a guiding factor for your sprint planning, imagine you will not commit according to your standards. You are always kind of like overestimating the stuff, number one, and under committing, which is always not good. So that kind of improvements you will be able to learn with the help of average velocity, with the help of a trend, not with one particular sprint. You don't take average velocity, like take for always have a trend metric, sorry, trend representation when you are having this average velocity metric. And yeah, we slightly touched upon this. Benefits, you can forecast the future sprint, and it is also going to be a guiding factor. How in your sprint planning? In sprint planning, two factors play a major role. One is capacity and velocity. Capacity, majorly for what you have. So that is going to be a deciding factor. And velocity, that is going to be a guiding factor. Because as a Scrum Master, you should be very focused in your sprint planning about these two factors, because teams should not go beyond their capacity, and teams should also not go kind of like in a very different way. I will be taking all these things in a very enthusiastic mode, let's plan all these things, let's commit on these things. No, that time you should use this guiding factor. Guys, like I feel we are kind of like too much committing, why can't we have something as a backup, as a stretch? Let's only talk about this. Always it's not a good practice to have neck to neck commitments, which is something I always follow. Do not commit so many things and then say no, because that's not also a good motivating thing for the team. Always, like, what you can plan it, and if anything extra, take that as a learning. See for 2 3 sprints how it's happening, and then you understand, oh okay, fine, this is something like interesting. So we can take more, and then plan it accordingly. So that is the reason I'm also looking for some kind of estimation workshop that you periodically need to check with your team, so that you can make some good level of improvements. The last thing, which is a very important thing, consistency. If your team is not consistent, if your sprint length is not going to be the same, and you keep changing your if you are kind of like making spike as your estimatable item, now you are changing that, now you are adding that again, these kind of fundamental changes if you are keep making, then this average velocity will not give you any kind of crisp information. It will give, but it will not really give you any kind of realistic thing that will help, because these are some of the key factors that we should have in our team, right? The stable team, not so much of movement, because you cannot always look for a stable team, but not too much like some person is joining, some person is leaving, one more person is coming, one more, because you are taking average, right? It's not only for this sprint. So you should at least have some kind of stable setup in your team, then it will be really fruitful. And also the same with sprint length, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, always trial and error, that may also not help, because the values will be keep changing, that will not really give any kind of like considerable action based on some kind of valuable information that you are getting from this metric. And again, this is a team metric. Please do not question someone, hey, this story you took it and you have not completed. No, it's average. And again, Scrum team is a team concept. It's not for an individual. Again, we commit as a team. We are not committing as an individual again. So it's very important. This is a team metric, not an individual metric, and not a benchmark. Again, like one person's team is doing so much good, like, oh, they have done 100 story points as an average velocity, but your team is just doing 30 story points. We don't know what is their estimation model itself, right? As I mentioned, they may be in a very new setup, and they always give that bigger numbers, because they always feel that this is a risk, we don't know this, we have a lot of uncertainties, all those things. But team is actually getting into a mature state. As you are refining your estimation model, then again the numbers also will change. And again, I don't know their journey. My journey is different from them. My team is entirely new, their team is very well settled. So these are different factors. So do not benchmark by just comparing. Okay, this team is doing good, this team is not doing good. Please do not judge with that. Okay, so this is also another point. So just to combine whatever the two metrics we have seen today, say-do ratio, which clearly tells what your team is achieving, how your team is performing in a sprint. And it will help definitely to plan your buffer in the future sprints, or in your future release plan, or anytime if you are preparing a timeline, it is going to be helpful. And always take that metric with the help of less than 100%, greater than 100%, equal to 100%, how you can classify and take actions accordingly. Average velocity, do not compare with teams, and this is actually as an average you are going to calculate. And one another key point is keep revisiting your estimation model at least whenever you find it is the right time for your team. And this value is again going to help you to understand how as a team that you are going with the pace, not performance. So this will help you to foresee, okay, what pace you are running. That will help you to understand how much you can actually plan, which is going to be a guiding factor. And you can foresee your sprint planning and also help in your sprint planning as a guiding factor, how much you can plan it. So these are the two metrics I want to cover. I hope it's clear. Please, any kind of questions related to these two, you can put in the chat window. Usually there is a free mentoring option. I'm available as part of mentoring club. So if you are if looking for any kind of career guidance one on one, you want to quickly chat any topic related to agile career or project management or product management, you can reach out using this mentoring club option. And this is a free mentoring. And when you come to the offer services in top mid, I'm available where you can see all these options. If you are looking for any kind of training, mentoring, uh, or any kind of like guidance, what next, all those things we can definitely chat. uh, that's all I have for today. So let me go to the questions. Okay, let me stop my sharing. Okay. Yeah, we can have any number of sprints. That's what I said. Like if you have 10 sprints as an average also, it's very good. More and more sprints you add for the average velocity calculation, it is going to definitely help you. When it is going to be 3 sprints, 2 sprints, 4 sprints, okay, because you don't, for example, if you are a new team and you don't have that much of record, then you somewhere start with 3 and 4. But you can go with any bigger number like 10, 15 sprints also, like, which is a very good thing, because you are more and more data you have, you are learning from the data, right? That is the performance that you are able to see, so it's a very good thing. So more sprints, it's always good. But if you don't have that many, at least start from 3. That's a starting point, at least for us. Any more questions? Okay, I think then it's clear for everyone. Uh, Thank you so much uh, for your participation. Hopefully, this session helped you all. Uh, we will see in the year 2025 again with again Agile Metric the next session. And as I mentioned, it will go for at least another 1 or 2. And I want to detail out all the Agile Metrics in a detailed way, like scope changes, defect density, defect leakage, product backlog health, uh, capacity utilization, refinement efficiency, something I can quickly recollect. So these all topics are going to come as part of each and every session. So we'll meet in the next live stream. If you have any questions, if you are liking the content, and if something your friends will be benefited out of this channel, please share this channel or the video to your friends who will be benefited. And hopefully you people are enjoying the product management series and the scrum master series. That's going on well. There is a break in that. That's on me. I'll be just speeding up the things in the upcoming week, so you'll be seeing more videos coming up in that. And that's a basic beginner series on product management and scrum master. Please follow that if you are interested in these work streams. And any kind of questions, please put it in the video as a comment, or also in the post wherever the quiz sessions are happening. I'll definitely try to answer as early as possible. Yes. So any kind of feedback, any more topics, please put it in the comments, or you can also share in the email. You can see my email ID over there. And if you want to contact, you can also reach out to me. Uh, Sorry, do you mind to attend my question? Yes, please, Bhavna, you can put your question. Yes, Ravi. Okay. Okay, let's give maybe another minute for them to come up with a question if they have any. So, yeah, please share your feedback, because that is going to be a real motivating factor for me to add more content. And if you have any suggestions, Selvi, this will be better, and this is like so much boring, whatever the feedback, I'm open for the feedback. Please share it. Let's try to make this channel, and also people who have subscribed to this channel, uh, we will try to add more content so that you will be beneficial. Yeah, we will be planning a safe session, like, yes. Maybe after the Agile Metrics, I think probably next month we may have two live streams. That's what I'm thinking of. If actually the Agile Metrics content is going to be good, because I don't want to make it till go for March or April, just to ensure that we are completing. After that, we will have scaled Agile. Okay, I didn't see any question from Bhavna and Ravi. All right. So yeah, please, if you have questions, please drop it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer anytime. If you have a question related to this topic or other topics, please add it in the comment section. Thank you so much, everyone, and happy Christmas and happy New Year. We'll see in the uh, New Year 2025, and happy learning, and participate in the quiz so that you will be able to get a lot of benefit from that every day. Thank you so much. Let's meet in our next live stream. Thank you. Bye bye.